you want to be able to highlight using a simple shortcut like so? What's going on, Excel fanatics? Vertex is here. In today's episode, I'm going to show you how to use a highlight shortcut. So the thing is with this, you actually can't do that normally, right? So there isn't a shortcut assigned to just highlighting something yellow. You have to actually use something called a macro to make that. So how do you do that? Well, first, so since I showed you how to highlight, the quick shortcut to get rid of a highlight is actually if you do Alt H H N, and that gets rid of any highlighting that you have on here. But keep in mind that does not affect conditional formatting. That's a different kind of highlighting, so that wouldn't be affected here. But in the case where you want to just quickly, like you see maybe just something you want to quickly highlight in whatever situation, it's kind of nice to be able to highlight as an annotation or however it is that you're going through data, right? So how do you do that? So like I said, it's something called a macro. And what you actually have to do is you have to get that set up on your workbook. So you'll see there's a developer tab here. And I'm going to walk you through how to actually get this on your Excel going forward. So the way you can quickly add the developer tab to your Excel is just right click any one of the tabs at the top. So file, home, because if you don't have it set up already, then you're not going to see this developer tab. So if you right click it, you'll see customize the ribbon. So once you click that, you see this Excel options pop up, and on the right side will be main tabs. So you'll see the developer aspect here, but you won't see it checked off. So go ahead and click it, make sure it's checked off, and then press OK. And then going forward, you'll see the developer. So even though you have the developer tab on, don't make a macro on the data that you're working with. So here's what I mean. When you're making a macro, make it on a new Excel document. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to go File, New, start with a blank. And what you need to do is the next step is actually File, Save As. So when you get the option to save as, you see it says Save As Type. And then you want to click Macro Enabled Workbook. And then I'm just going to call this Highlight Macro 2, since I already have one made. Okay, so now you have your new blank macro enabled file ready to start recording. So with your new developer tab at the top, you'll see this new aspect of macros and record macro. So we're going to record a macro, and what that means is essentially Excel is going to record our actions, and then we are going to set it so that is something that is repeatable and can be reused over and over again. So kind of think of it as, say you wrote your name on a piece of paper, but your hand and your pen stayed in the same place, constantly writing your name over and over, and you just had to keep putting the paper underneath it. So the thing is, even though if your hand and the pen stayed in the same place, it kind of depends on where you have the paper, where you want your name to show up. It's probably a bad example, but that's usually what comes to mind when I'm doing that. So the thing is, macros record everything you do exactly. So you want to make sure that it is something that's reusable and will always be able to do and will be repeatable without any issues. I'm not really going to get into how extensive these macros can get in this video, but the simplest way to make this highlighting one is all you have to do is go ahead and we're going to set record. We're going to call this one highlight 1 just in case, because I think I have it. So the shortcut here is Control plus, and I'm going to make it H just because there's no shortcuts that are that important through Control H. You don't want to use it through any macros through a commonly used one like Control A, Control V, things, or even Control Z, because then the macro will overwrite those shortcuts. So you don't want that. So in this case, just do Control H. It's easy to remember, Control highlight. So let's just do that. So we're pressing OK, and actually down here, it's letting us know that the macro is currently recording. So the thing is, it's not like it's a video. It's not recording, so it's only going to record when I take action. So the thing is here, if I click on the Home tab to get to the highlight, it's going to do that automatically. It's going to record the click for me going to the Home tab. So to ensure that we're going to the Home tab, I actually just did Alt H, and now I'm actually going to go ahead and go to the paint bucket, and then I'm going to go down to yellow under standard colors. And then that's it. So then I'm going to go down to the bottom left, and I'm going to stop recording. So let's test it. Let's do Control H. And look at that. That works. Because it's not a cell specific macro. It just knows that all it has to do is just go to the Home tab and click on Paint and then click on Standard. So that was just a test, right? So we have the other data file open. But the thing is, we want to save the macro to this workbook. So that way we just have to keep it open in the background while we're working on the other data file. Because the thing is, if we save the macro to this data file, then we would always need to have this data file open anytime we wanted to use it in any other Excel situation. So it's better to save macros like that in separate files, so that way you can keep them open in the background. So now that we have this file open, if I just start doing Control H, works like a charm. So hey, look at you, you're a macro user. Congratulations, you should be out celebrating. But it was really easy, really quick way to introduce yourself to macros if you haven't used them before. And this is actually, in my opinion, a very useful shortcut that I think should already be in Excel. But now you know how to make it for yourself. So now go out there and make the best highlighting spreadsheet that you possibly can.